Guys, so let's talk a little NFL football here on Slaughterhouse. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday break. And we're going to talk now some NFL football. Baltimore's just a surprise ball club. I don't know if they're going to get it done, though. I don't know if they're going to win 3 games in January and February. I'm not sure that they can beat the 49ers again if they played the 49ers. They got a really good defense, so if the road goes for Baltimore, they're going to have to ride that defense all the way to the finish line. These next couple of games are going to be huge. I think if Baltimore wins the home game, I think that they secure the number 1 seed in the AFC, and that's absolutely monumental. I think that this defense is going to have to carry this team in the playoffs. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to be a really good complementary piece to this defense. I think that their running game is fantastic. And honestly, guys, like Mike Macdonald is probably going to be a better coach in the NFL than John Harbaugh is going to be. Just like Shane Steichen is probably a better coach than Nick Sirianni. You just got to, unfortunately for the Ravens, the timing is not going to work out unless they're going to, I don't know. If I were John Harbaugh, maybe I would. It's very tough to say. Would you move to a special teams coach? I mean, losing Mike Macdonald, I guess Mike would have to win 2 Super Bowls to add up to what John Harbaugh has accomplished. But don't you think that Mike Macdonald is a brilliant defensive play caller? He is the hottest name for any coaching vacancy across the sport of football. I mean, he's worked under John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh now for 8 to 10 seasons. He was in Athens with Mark Richt. The guy is a brilliant defensive coordinator, but really as the NFL, what's another story about the Ravens? As the NFL devalues the linebacker position, the Ravens just poured into it. The Ravens, gave up a first-round pick to get Roquan Smith, who's been fantastic. They are able to also get Patrick Queen in the middle of their defense, so there's no holes really in their running game. And then they were able to get Kyle Hamilton late, and they were able to deploy Kyle Hamilton in a way in which it can be successful. I mean, Kyle Hamilton on a lot of other teams would be pigeonholed to be a safety or an oversized linebacker, and he could have been an Isaiah Simmons that just got traded and been like nothing and not been that good. The Ravens selected him middle of the first. He didn't go in the top 5 for that reason. People didn't know where to play Kyle Hamilton. They didn't know if he was fast enough to be a safety. They didn't know if he was strong enough to be a linebacker. Meanwhile, he's just a really great weapon that they utilize all over the field. So, again, this explains the brilliance of Mike Macdonald. Lamar Jackson's done an incredible job. I mean, the reason why I think he's going to win the most valuable player is because he lost Mark Andrews. They've lost 2 running backs. There's 2 starting running backs. Their wide receivers are okay. They don't have an A1 wide receiver on this team. And still, this offense is still very effective. Lamar Jackson's effective running. He's effective throwing the ball. He's very accurate on the run. The narrative is that Lamar Jackson can't sit back in the pocket and beat you. The guy has incredible touch on the football. And the guy, could scramble. He can make really tons of throws deep down the field. Running, he's a great player outside of structure. And he's a very accurate quarterback. He throws with tremendous touch. And also Todd Monken does a really nice job of calling plays for him. Looking at Brock Purdy, the quarterback of the 49ers, he's an all right quarterback. He has like pretty good arm strength. He's very, very mobile. He's gotten the most out of his ability being the last pick of the NFL draft. Never actually had the weapons at Iowa State, so that's where it was my blind spot was. He never really had like incredible weapons at Iowa State, but his just ability like his ability to play point guard is reminiscent to Kurt Warner. Because not only are these guys undrafted and don't have the biggest arms in the world, but they're very, very accurate quarterbacks and great leadership. You know, Brock doesn't get too high or too low, and he's incredibly mobile, incredibly quick. And his instincts are what has allowed him to play really fast. And he's tall enough and he throws with enough anticipation that he just sees things and throws. And he plays very, very quickly. I don't know if I'd compare him to Drew Brees, but because Drew Brees has just a stronger arm than Brock Purdy. But this year he's having an amazing season. I mean, 30 touchdown passes to only 11 interceptions, throwing for 4,000 yards. I mean, he's going to be up there for the MVP conversation. So, you know, all San Francisco has to do, they have to go, you know, beat Washington, and then they have to beat Los Angeles the last week of the year. And it's looking good for them and their playoff hopes. If they get this defense cranked up, I think that they're going to be the favorite to still go to Vegas. And really, it could be Niners-Baltimore rematch. And then, boy, oh boy, Brock Purdy's going to have to be protected. It's going to, God, I mean, we just saw this game play out. It'll be a close game. It'll be a rematch of Baltimore, and it'll be a rematch of the 49ers. Could Miami play spoiler? I think Miami's a team that can honestly play spoiler. So you could see Shanahan versus Mike McDaniel, which would be absolutely incredible. You could see Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, the defense is going to have to be on full tilt, but Tua's been playing amazing. That Tyreek Hill trade by the Chiefs is an all-time blunder. They look awful this year. They're going back down the drain, Kansas City. That Tyreek Hill trade, I mean, they honestly would have, last year, they kind of limped into the Super Bowl. They did. You know, they beat Jacksonville in an ugly game. They beat the Bengals should have beaten Kansas City last year. And then Kansas City just played out of their minds in the Super Bowl. You know, that Kadarius Toney return, a fumble 6 that they were able to get. So last year they were beatable, and they still ended up winning a championship. This year they haven't had the weapons. It's been a very rocky season. They've given Miami and Mike McDaniel the keys to this offense. They've unlocked Tua's potential. That's what that trade indicated. That was a huge NFL trade. That trade had massive impact around the sport, and now Miami is taking Kansas City's spot because of that trade. You know, and an A1 wide receiver like that is so valued on the open market, you know, and if you gave the Chiefs truth serum, they wouldn't have done it again. And I know that the narrative is, oh, well, they won a Super Bowl last year, but they did not look that good last year, you know. And again, this year, it's a wide open field, but there's a lot of good teams that are out there, probably better competition. I think that the 49ers are better. Brock has another year of experience, and you also got Chase Young. The Niners are a better team. The Cowboys are better. Dak is better than last year. The Cowboys are playing pretty good football. The Eagles are still a contender. They have great running game. Jalen Hurts is really playing outstanding football. So in the NFC, I still would go Philly and 49ers, obviously. And then in the AFC, I think that you go the Bills, the Dolphins, or the Ravens. I don't think that this Bills defense could stand up to Baltimore. You know, that's the question is, you know, it's just going to be tough to go in the ball. I think the Dolphins have a better chance going in the Baltimore. We're going to see. We're going to see Bills, Dolphins. We're going to see these teams play out. But really, it's the Ravens. It's Mike Macdonald. He's been an incredible, incredible coach. I don't know why you would want to lose him if you're Baltimore. I think he's probably the most valuable coach in the sport, right up there with Ben Johnson. These are the two most valuable coaches that we have in the NFL. Maybe McDaniel and Shanahan, but I put those four. I don't even think it's close. I think you put those four, and it's not even close. Who are the best coaches in the NFL? It is Mike McDaniel. It is Macdonald, McDaniel, Ben Johnson, and it is Kyle Shanahan. Those are the best coaches that we have in the NFL. I mean, Joe Brady's turning into a brilliant head coach right in front of our eyes as well. Dan Quinn runs a good defensive scheme, but I think that you could get somebody to run, similar scheme. I just think that McDonald is just, woo, he is that good. Same with Ben Johnson. So those two are going to they're going to get elevated in their pay, and they're probably going to become head coaches in the National Football League. All righty, guys. So it's tough. It's tough. Where do you go for the championship? Right now, can Baltimore's defense play well at home, and can Lamar Jackson play solid in the playoffs, and can they run the football to beat the Buffalo Bills or the Miami Dolphins? That is the question. I think it's going to be tough, man. I think it's going to come down to a one-score game, a toss-up. In the NFC, I like the 49ers, so the 49ers' path is still better. If they get home field, they could defend the Eagles. They could beat Philly again, and they could beat Dallas. So the 49ers, they just need 2 games. If they get these 2 games, they're going to be going to Vegas with a great chance to win the championship. And Brock Purdy could still be a championship-level player, even though he had a terrible, terrible regular season game. It's not going to, he could still be a guy who goes to Disney World as a NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP quarterback. He could be on his way to Russell Wilson-like fame. And then if he wins the Super Bowl, he will then buy himself another 4 years of starting at quarterback somewhere in the NFL. Some owner will think that he is that good of a player. He is probably in his peak right now. I don't think that Brock is going to get better than he's playing right now. He's going to be all right for the next several years, but defenses are going to figure him out. And again, he has all right arm strength. He's pretty dang accurate. He's fast. His speed right now at this age is what is allowing him to excel. But he's been one of the greatest stories in NFL history. And if he wins a Super Bowl as a starter and throws for 35 touchdowns in a 17-game season, then we can all go kumbaya and ha, ha, ha. So Kyle's got to win it this year. The 49ers got to win it. The Ravens most likely got to get to the championship game. It's going to be probably, oh my gosh, the AFC is wide open. The NFC, not so much. That's kind of where we're at. The 49ers got to beat the Rams. They got to beat Washington and the Rams, and then they've locked up their berth in the Super Bowl to me. All righty, guys, that's kind of how I see it. A little NFL talk here on Slaughterhouse Sports.